Malome from the village who stays at the village will still say, Monna ha budi kwa tswang teng. Monna ke selepe wa adimana. Mosadi ke ngwana mo lapeng.
Malome o ja dithogo.
Ehe. Wa dutla.
Meaning her Malome can come and mess up
With
Yes.
the house. With the knees.
In terms of incest. So those things, they still exist.
Ditlhong extend to that?
That's what Malome Oja Ditlhong means. It means Malome can literally abuse a child and get away with it because incest to some extent is tolerated.
One of the complaints we've received is that, or we've come across, is that once these cases are reported with the police never proactively update the victims on what's happening, the status of the case, whether there's a mention pending or whatever. The victim sometimes will come to inquire, and so what systems are in place for updating the other interested parties, or shall I say stakeholders, throughout the process?
The unfortunate part is what other experts have said, or the psychologists, is that Botswana men have a rape culture. A rape culture means you see someone wearing a mini skirt, you're saying, no, she should not be walking around looking like that. So she is inviting someone to violate her. Then, again, you meet someone at the bar, you buy drinks for them, then you are entitled to sleep with them because you bought them drinks. You give someone a lift, you are entitled to sleep with them because you gave them a lift. So that is rape culture. And that's what the experts say.
This is Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We enthuse, we energize, we inspire, and we empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes in BW and beyond.
Dumelang, and welcome to another episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast, more specifically the legal series, where we deep dive into issues of concern pertaining to the law and as it affects you directly. So I've brought yet another panel of experts to go deeper on the issue of gender-based violence. We noticed from the feedback we got from you that we never really got the perspective of Botswana Police Service, and we never got a chance to, really unpack and, cross-pollinate ideas with them regarding what they do on a day-to-day, regarding issues of gender-based violence, which are at the forefront of the mind of the public at this time, as they keep coming up over and over again. But before we go into a little bit of housekeeping, before we go into the podcast itself, firstly, let me invite you to strike that subscribe button. We really need it. Please, if you get to, especially if you like and enjoy the show, we really appreciate it if you could strike that subscribe button, the notification bell, and of course just a like. It makes a hell of a difference in the long run in terms of the marketability of the podcast and our ability to stay afloat in terms of paying the bills and remaining with the podcast. So please support us. Just strike that subscribe button. I was set to discover 2/3 of our viewers, our regular viewers, have not subscribed according to YouTube. So please don't be among the 2/3. Another piece of housekeeping, we have a book there that I've written. I've shared my story as an entrepreneur, as a business developer. I want to enthuse and energize you, like I keep saying in the podcast. And there's a whole chapter actually dealing with the podcast as well. But I'm inviting you, please, to reach out and get yourself a copy. Only 350 pula. It retails at that amount also at exclusive books. So please support us if you can. Gender-based violence. Let's start off by getting our guests to introduce themselves. I'll start on my far left. Tell them who you are, madam, and a little bit about your background.
My name is Assistant Superintendent Makola. I'm officer in charge Child Friendly Center, Broadhurst Police, under a newly established branch that is Gender and Child Protection Branch. The branch that deals with issues like the current issue that we are here for, gender-based violence, and also issues that involves children. That is why we are having Gender and Child Protection Branch. But I've been in the Botswana Police for the past 25 years, of which 15 I was in Interpol, dealing with cases involving women and children and human trafficking. That is what I've been doing in the Botswana Police Service.
What are the academic credentials?
Academically, I'm a holder of master's degree in politics and international relations from the University of Botswana.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you have any special training on the GBV aspect?
Yes, in fact, I'm a regional trainer where I train the police officers of Southern Africa on issues of gender-based violence, on issues of trafficking in persons, and in fact, all the offenses that violates children.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Truth be told, dear viewer, let's amaze it, to be honest. I mean, look at the quality of guests that we've got for you, and I'm sure the discussion will be further enlightening in that regard. Next to you is Mr.
I'm Mr. Kudakwashe Chihita. I'm an attorney with Lerumo Mogobe legal practitioners for over 2 years now. I'm an attorney, as I've said, and I'm also a master's candidate with the University of Botswana. Thank you for having us, Mr. Mogobe.
He's a very good lawyer, if I could say so myself, and I'm a little biased because it's the law firm that is powering this particular legal series. So thank you so much for assisting us.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Madam?
Good morning. I'm Priscilla Ditlhong, former magistrate, now managing partner at Ditlhong and Associates. I'm also a PhD candidate at Pretoria University, doing a thesis on gender-based law, and I'm very much of an activist in relation to GBV.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's just start from the basics to understand the law. What's the legal framework? By that I want to know under which law, for instance, are perpetrators of GBV dealt with. Can you share on that?
Since we don't have any statute that describes gender-based violence, or even the gender-based violence is not crime per se, it is the umbrella of various offenses, and it pushes us, or it forces us to use several instruments or statutes like the Penal Code, the Children's Act, Anti-Human Trafficking Act, domestic violence, all those instruments that deals with violence, we use them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Along with that, is there a process, a procedure involved in reporting GBV cases or matters?
When the Botswana Police Service, IDRA, the Gender and Child Protection Branch, there was an outcry that the cases are not handled professionally. So we had to have some people who are trained who will be receiving those cases. And we receive walk-in that people just come in to report. There are people who report anonymously to say this is what is happening next door. Toll-free numbers, that is our 999. And also the late reports, we receive late reports that cases that happened so many years ago, that are being reported because now we've given them assurance that they will be handled in a professional manner. Yeah.
What was causing the outcry? I mean, you could just maybe share a little bit of that so the viewer is on the same page as you.
I think most of us have been in the we don't call it charge office nowadays. We call it community service center.
Mm-hmm.
We've been there before.
You've changed the wording.
It's community service center. That's where we service the community.
Yeah.
So previously, you'll find so many people reporting theft of motor vehicle, malicious damage to property, and this particular one of being violated, that is your personal life, private life, you can't just disclose it before all other people. So that the outcry was there is no privacy. So we need a specific space where we can disclose everything that has happened to us. Yeah.
You would have a unique perspective as a former magistrate and as a practitioner, where you can give us an idea as to the before and after, whether the setting up of this unit has made a difference.
I think the police came up with a good initiative in relation to coming up with the unit. And before, like Makola just said, it wasn't even just a matter of privacy, it was a matter of unprofessionalism. Like, people didn't see the difference between somebody reporting rape and someone reporting theft. And therefore, if a rape victim came, she's literally what is now called the community center or charge service. This is like an open space where you'd find about 20 people there. And the police officer there, if somebody comes and says, I came to report, and you can see this person is hesitating, because I've actually been in a situation where I was just a civilian also reporting a crime, somebody stole my phone. And this person was coming, and you could see this person wants to report something sensitive. And the police officer say, yes, next, what are you reporting? And usually there would be two people here. You're sitting, you, Mr. Mompe, are reporting.
Mogobe.
I'm saying Mompe because of Mompe.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, you, Mr. Mogobe, you're reporting your stolen phone. And someone sitting next to me is reporting rape. And this person was sitting here saying, and the police officer saying, what are you reporting? And this person was hesitating, can I please see you in private? And it's like, no, everybody should say what they want. And she just said, rape. That's when the officer now is like, oh, okay, why didn't you say that? But this person already said, can I see you in private?
Yeah.
So I think there is that change now. However, I think the idea and implementation in other parts of the stations or like across the board, they need to follow up on it. Because recently I had a client who said, my ex-boyfriend assaulted me on the streets, like right in front of Ayoba. And she went and she filed a case of assault. 2 days.
Right in front of this building.
Well, I'm just giving an example.
Oh,
not,
I see,
yes,
okay.
not that it happened
Oh, I
here.
see.
Yes, to avoid, naming,
Yeah.
yes. Somebody made an example to say, I was assaulted on the street by my ex-boyfriend. And this is an ex-boyfriend who has assaulted her countless times and has made reports countless times at this particular police station. 2 days later, when she's asking about her case, the station commander says, no, we decided to withdraw the case because the person admitted they beat you, so we fined them 200 pula. And then my question becomes, as far as I know, the initiatives that have come forth, there is a saving ground that says issues of GBV, they should never be withdrawn, even if the victim says
Saving
this.
ground from where?
From the DPP. But now here are the police officers who are supposed to protect the victim, who actually know the victim, because there are countless cases against this person. And then they say, no, he admitted he beat you. Now the question is, are the police saying when a perpetrator abuses you, just because they say, yes, I normally abuse her, it's okay, because you cannot withdraw a case of a victim. The victim, they used to have that right to withdraw, but that right was cancelled because the police and also the DPP knew usually victims of gender-based violence are coerced to actually withdraw that. Now, if it is the police who are failing to protect you, when you actually have scars to that are visible, and when the whole public was watching you being dragged by your ex-boyfriend, now where do the victims go? Because I think those type of things, those are what the unit needs to go on the police stations and check what is happening. Because some police officers are still back there where they say
there's no mindset change.
Yes, some have that mindset change because you can see there's that different. I'll speak of Broadhurst because I was born and bred in Broadhurst. So I've gone there a lot, you know, whether as a child, also in my professional capacity and so forth. You know, when somebody stole my phone, when a thief broke in at the house, we would go
central.
there. Yes.
So it's almost at the center of the city. Yeah.
Yes. You can see there's a mindset change. But other police stations, the mindset has not changed at all. They
So
still
Kuda, I want to rope you in, and I want to throw something that might be seen as controversial, to say the perpetrators also have rights. It's not just the victims who have rights. You as a lawyer sometimes have to defend what the public thinks is the indefensible. What do you do where is the perpetrator saying, please represent me, I do have rights too, and they have actually perpetrate an act of violence against the victim?
All right. Well, the starting point is to let the public know that lawyers, attorneys are officers of the court, and they are there to uphold the law above everything. So supposing a victim has reported a case and the perpetrator has been charged maybe with assault or aggravated indecent assault, which is a form of GBV, then the perpetrator comes to my office and asks for help. The first point of call is, did you do it? If they did it, then definitely...
That's between you and him.
It's between...
confidential, isn't it?
Yes, it's confidential. I get it. It's confidential. But then, if it is that there is evidence and it can't be disputed, we can simply advise the perpetrator to say, okay, supposing you're going to be incarcerated, you're going to be held in a remand, then we can help you apply for bail. That is it. You've got the right to liberty, yes, but then we'll apply for bail. Your right will be given back to you, but then this time it will be in a limited capacity, because the justice system might then demand that you surrender your passport, you report to the police station twice or thrice a week, you know. So that is generally it. But then supposing
if he denies,
although
the evidence is to the contrary,
we'll simply go to the court and defend him based on what he is saying, because he has the right to be heard. He might have perpetrated it, yes, but then he has the right to be heard. Heard by who? Not me, but by the court, by the justice system, by the magistrate. So even if I feel like the client, you know, it's my duty as the lawyer who's representing him to put it before the court. Then the court will make a decision, like she used to do. Yes.
Okay, let me ask the member of the police service. What are the specific steps that the police take when, for instance, specifically I want to talk about where it is alleged that the man has raped his wife. Has anything legally changed in that regard, and what are the issues around so-called marital rape?
I want to excuse myself from issue of marital rape because we don't have something like that in codes. I cannot clearly say, oh, you once had a case of marital rape or what, but it's so difficult for me to talk about marital rape.
You do believe there's such a thing?
That will be my opinion.
Yes, that's what
that will be my opinion, not the law.
Yeah.
I don't really know if it's something that I can say there is marital rape. Where is the consent been stopped? How?
You mean the minute you take your vows, you are giving carte blanche, you're given an open license to have intercourse with your husband or your wife?
I can say so, but similarly, because of this GBV issues, one would end up saying you've raped me, even if you are the husband. Yes. Because all the violence that is exerted on somebody, I think you would not want that happen to you, even though you have those conjugal rights over me.
What's the position of the law? Let me ask the lawyers. And I missed. I don't know who wants to take it first.
Of course, the PhD candidate.
I think, yes, we did address this on part 2.
Yes.
But however, it's very important to note, as Makola has just said, it's not legally, it doesn't exist, but we know it exists.
Yes.
So now the problem
What
is...
does that mean? Don't talk in cryptic terms.
I'm talking like a lawyer.
You're
Yes,
talking in parables.
yes, you're guilty but not guilty.
Yeah.
Yes. Legally, the law says there's no marital rape. But does it actually happen in society? The answer is yes, it does happen. Because that is why we have victims of gender-based violence. And those are not only in relation to people who are boyfriend and girlfriend. They also happen in a relationship of husband and wife. And if a husband is an abuser, obviously his mindset is, by virtue of you saying, yes, I'll be your wife, it means whenever I say I want sexual intercourse, I'm entitled to it. But the same is not applied to the wife when she wants it. And we all know what the definition of rape is. Sexual intercourse without the consent of the other party.
Is it biologically possible for the wife to rape? You said the same is not, but is it physically or biologically possible?
In my opinion, no. Because scientifically they say if a man wants to engage in coitus, sexual intercourse, they have to be erect. So you can't be erect and say, I was forced to do something when you were excited. For the woman, they have to be wet. So if you're wet, how do you say then I was forced when you were wet? Because it means there will be no injuries that we expect in a rape kit and so forth.
It's a tough one. I don't know whether Mr. Kuda wants to clarify it. Is the
Um,
law clear on this one?
Hey, it's pretty controversial, but we have heard situations. I know there was a case in Zimbabwe.
I notice you're lowering your voice a bit.
Yes, okay.
It's a sensitive matter.
Well, yes. Well, there was a stream of cases back then in Zimbabwe where women who were raping men and harvesting their seed or sperm, so to say. So it's
For the purpose of booty.
I don't know. But then there were quite a number of cases, and I remember back then it wouldn't be charged as a rape, but then it would be aggravated indecent assault. Yes. So it's not a rape, because rape is when a man inserts it. But this time around, since it's the woman who's maybe telling the man to forcefully remove his pants, etc., then it's indecent assault, which is aggravated.
Yeah.
Yes, but also I would like to believe that as a former magistrate, and the assistant superintendent knows this, we have heard many cases wherein house helpers, maids, assault young boys in the house, or do nasty stuff with boys in the house. So yes,
Against their will.
well, at times the little boys might be excited, but they do not have the capacity to consent. Yes, because they are
of the age.
underage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Or a mentally disturbed person.
Yeah.
You see, I might be mentally disturbed, and a woman might say, this guy is handsome. Yes, he's mentally challenged, but then she decides to engage with me. Of course, I might have engaged, but as a mentally incapacitated person, do I have the capacity to consent? The answer is no.
Okay.
Can I add something
Yes,
there,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Momp? Mr. Chihita brought a very important point, because there's a huge confusion between defilement and rape. Because he was mentioning either maids or other people engaging in
Abusing young
sexual
boys.
activities with underage boys. And I think it's very important for people to note there's a difference between rape and defilement. Because people automatically think if you forcefully force yourself on a minor, then it's defilement. It is not rape. But no, those are two separate things. Rape is when you have sexual intercourse with someone who has not given you consent.
Of a
Defilement.
certain age, right?
No.
No, there's no age. Whether
That's
you're
right.
2 years old, whether you're 5, whether you're 18.
As long
Defilement,
as consent is absent.
as long as a consent is absent.
Yes.
Now, defilement is you having sexual intercourse with someone who has given you consent. However, the law does not recognize that consent because the person is categorized as a child and is a minor. Therefore, the consent they've given you, the law does not recognize
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks
So
for
you didn't rape them, but the consent that you got was not legal.
It's irrelevant.
Thanks for clarifying
Yes.
that.
So
I think that's
please
very
let's-
helpful. Yeah.
Yes, we should make that distinction because I think other rapists are charged with a linear charge because people think, oh, it's a minor, then it is defilement. No.
Yeah. Let me ask the superintendent something just to take our discussion further. Are there any shortcomings that you notice in the legal framework, in the legal system as it exists now? And are there any changes that, if it were up to you, you feel need to be made to better address GBV issues?
These instruments that I've already mentioned, the Penal Code, the Traffic in Persons Act, that they have been amended, I think, several times to try cap these crimes, especially the sexual offenses, by increasing the penalties. When you look at issue of rape, when you get raped by your own biological father, last year, September, 15 September, they had to bring in the issue that when a child has trust on you and you rape that person, they increase the penalties.
From
or
what
the
to what?
punishment. The minimum sentence being 30 years imprisonment. But if
3-0.
3-0, and
So your life
and,
is finished.
and likely from our center we are already having that somebody who has been imprisoned recently 30 years. So but if you are having HIV or AIDS, that's 35, the minimum. So I think the government is doing all it can to protect people from gender-based violence. So we are having those laws, and the law of Agari, if you know, the Anti-Human Trafficking Act, they used to it used to have fines of 500,000. It was amended to have only imprisonment with no
No
fines.
more fines.
No more
Yeah.
fines.
So just run us through the penalties and different categories, just to give us an idea.
In regards to
GBV.
GBV, I got GBV ke buile gore ga se crime.
Yeah.
So
In the
we'll
case,
be having assault.
let's say if it's a rape and the person is a step parent, for instance, or stepfather, and not a biological father, what are the consequences? If it's indecent assault, what are the consequences? Are there different categories of different types of punishments?
Yeah, the law ya rape ke yone thata e ne go lebile mo go yone ene ya defilement. Bo indecent o kare they are still
The same.
like that. But then when it comes to rape, the government is very serious about issues of rape regarding motho o bereka le ene, my employer le ene wa go nna mo teng gore you raped this person. What's the
employee,
advantage?
yeah.
What's the advantage of your position over that person? Penalties are the minimum is 30 years imprisonment. So to life imprisonment, I've seen a case where somebody raped a 3-year-old child to life imprisonment. Yes.
That sounds. Do you want to add to that, Madam?
Those are very good steps. Like we also did say in the last session that they recently also there is that bill about pedophiles to get a death penalty. However, like she just mentioned, because GBV in itself is not a crime, it also limits the charges that can actually go against a perpetrator, or charges that would actually warn somebody who could be a perpetrator to say, if you do this, this is what is going to happen to you. Which basically means a perpetrator knows the only thing I cannot do is rape.
Yeah.
Everything else I can do. Because other abusers are very skillful and they're very manipulative. They search all sorts of ways to punish their victim, to, inhumanely treat them. And they know there's literally nothing that they can actually be charged with. So it's about time GBV separated from general crime, and there's actually that act that will specify to it just the same they did with human trafficking
or domestic violence.
Yes, because in Botswana you'd find that when I was still on the bench, other people would actually think what they did wasn't human trafficking because the act there was nothing that spoke of that until now. There was a human trafficking act, and then it said if you take someone from their home and you take them elsewhere, but haven't lied to them saying, yeah, I'm hiring you as a, maybe I'm hiring you as a chef or as whatever, but when the person gets there, now you're the employment contract has changed. Now they're actually a head boy or a head girl. Then that is human trafficking, because that person left that place knowing I'm going to be a chef. I'm going to be, working in a space where I know I'm doing 1, 2, 3, but now they're doing something that they weren't.
We'll go further to the issue of human trafficking.
Yes.
Viewer, in case you're curious, our next legal series will be on human trafficking. And thankfully, the police service was once again to offer as an expert who's going to talk about that. Let me ask about the legal system. How does it support, from the point of view of the police, the victims of gender-based violence? How do you actually support them?
We're working in collaboration with non-governmental organizations. If there is anything that our victims needs, is their basic needs. That is, how am I safe away from this perpetrator? So we need shelter before we could do anything besides taking them to the hospitals and so forth. We need to think much on how are we going to bring shelter, or what is it that we are supposed to do to safeguard this person from being re-victimized. So we collaborate with other stakeholders, NGOs, and then the social workers who are basically supposed to be providing the welfare of the victims are always there for us to help take those people to a safer place. So I think that is what is in place for our victims, also to ensure that when we bring them to facilities like the hospitals, they are not exposed to it's obvious this person has been raped. So we ensure do
you need a court order to take away, for instance, the custody from the perpetrator, the custody away from the custody of the victim from the perpetrator? Do you need some kind of court intervention, or you can just do it without an order?
If we have those powers that we can use to remove a motor from danger. When you talk of Children's Act, there is a clause which talks of a person in need of protection, a child in need of protection. So absolutely, when you see a child is in danger, whether you are a parent or not, we automatically remove you to a safe place. We don't need an order to take you to a safe place. Yes. So the fact that we are supposed to be seen providing security, I agree, Rona, we are supposed to protect life and property. So when you see your life is in danger, obviously the law empowers us to remove you to a safe place. So we don't need orders.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great. Now, tell us about this unit, this special unit. You
The
said
branch.
Yeah.
We want it, when you say it, branch.
Yeah, how tell us about it from the point of view of what it's made up of and where it is found and what its exact mandate is.
The Gender and Child Protection Branch. It was established in 2021 and it is everywhere within the Botswana Police Service. We have police officers all around the country who are basically supposed to be seen doing exactly cases of gender-based violence. And these people are experts. We have psychologists, we have social workers, we have investigators, lawyers who are supposed to be dealing with these cases.
Who are also police officers?
Gender-based violence.
Or just
they are police officers. No, they are
officers.
police officers. So gender-based violence, it comes in different forms. It can be emotional, and how do you measure emotional abuse? You need an expert.
Yes.
You need a psychologist to sit that person down to narrate all what has happened to that person and come up with a case that will help your findings or your investigations. So the branch is all over, and besides that, we also have
all over means every major town or city.
No, every police station has representation from the branch.
Okay.
Yes. So when you get into the police station, you ask for those people, particular people. Can I have people who deals with gender-based violence?
The GBV branch, as you call it. What are they called?
Gender and Child Protection Branch.
Okay.
And there will be people who are dealing with the gender-based involving adults and those who deals with minors like me. So at least we are having 8 facilities like child-friendly centers all across the country where issues of children are dealt with there. So when you get into the police station, what you ask is, can I have people who are dealing with minors? You'll be referred to our facilities. If you are an adult, you've been assaulted by your husband, then there are officers who deals with GBV.
Okay.
Yes.
And you've been in existence, 1 year?
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
Yes.
21.
All right.
Yeah,
And I'm going to ask you, Mr. Kuda, the similar question to what I asked her earlier, whether there is actually an impact in your view. Is the branch having an impact in society, in your work?
That's a difficult one, and it's something that has been lingering in my head to say, despite all these positive attempts by the Botswana Police Service, is there a reduction in the crime rate? Because this is a social science thing, right? If we increase branches, it means crime should go down, right? Or maybe if we increase the penalty, then crime should go down. So it's also a question that has been posing in my head, and I would have wanted her to answer, to tell us, to say, the increase in penalty number of years, is that substantially reducing crime rate?
You're looking for statistics.
Yes, statistics.
Do we have the statistics?
I do, but I have a good answer for you.
Oh, how?
It's obvious when the branch is new, people will
don't
have
know.
interest
Okay.
to know how best we can you can be helped. Like people who've been staying away without disclosing what happened to them, they are coming in great numbers, so it is going to increase crime. So ke dumela gore ha re ntse re tsweletse jaanong it will go down because now people will be aware
You mean
there are these people.
initially there's going to be a
Yes, there's going to be a rise of cases because people are coming forth now.
People are now coming.
Yeah, they
Okay.
are coming. They know there are people who will help us.
but you're actually tracking it in terms of numbers, and are you able to tell us?
Kana like ke buile gore GBV is broad. When you take the statistics, we will be separating what is not GBV and what is GBV. You'll find that at least more than 60% of the cases that are registered are under the GBV roof. So there is a lot of GBV. Ga gongwe ebile ra re o ka re tshela mo kgetseng e duta. Yes.
So sad. Let me also ask you this. I think I asked this in the previous episode, in one of the previous parts of this discussion on GBV, where there's a restraining order, maybe resulting from the Domestic Violence Act. Somebody gets a restraining order and is violated. What is the penalty associated with that, where a person is not supposed to come within a certain distance of the victim, and they do that and they beat up the victim? So how do the police help in this aspect? What are the penalties?
Ora motho a disobey the court order.
Yes, madam.
That is not supposed to be seen ali gauhile motho and
Ba go
assistantly
motlasa.
doing that. Of course, even though I don't have the information now, like we open cases that somebody has disobeyed the court order. I'm sorry, I don't have information now when you have disobeyed the court order regarding this restraining order. Is it a fine or some imprisonment?
How widespread is that, though, the people violating court orders?
It is rife. It is there. Yes. People just ignore this. That is why somebody end up killing somebody who he has a restraining order of. So it is there.
So there should be strong penalties then.
Yes.
Do you have
For
some?
disobeying the restraining orders. Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the only sentence maximum is 2 years for disobeying a court order.
And your view is?
That is not sufficient, because like Mama Kola is saying, this happens on so many
But
occasions.
at least for those 24 months, you are away from the victim.
But
And
it's-
when they come back now, they come back with vengeance.
Yes.
Because 2 years, 2 years is so little. Right now we're in 2024. We'll think 2026 is far, but we'll see ourselves in 2026. The minute they come out, usually the result is death.
They come out.
So
angry.
it's very minimal because they come out angry. So it needs to be stiff so the person knows, if I violate, it's the same thing as actually having been charged with a different offense altogether. At
What
least
do you
if
think
it's,
should be the minimum?
I think the minimum for that should at least be 5 or 6 years, because in 5 years maybe the victim can move away. Maybe they can, find a way to, self-support themselves. Because sometimes, or in most cases, people don't move out because their perpetrators are their source of support.
Yes.
So if you give them a little bit of time for them to support themselves, maybe they can relocate and go somewhere else. But even 5 years is not enough, really. But at least if it's minimum 5 or 6 years, I think that would go a long way to help the victim try and be independent and move away and find their life again without the perpetrator. Because usually when they come out, it's even worse.
So, I'm just trying to think whether we as lawyers, putting this to Mr. Kuda, are helpless. We're not able to get, when the restraining order has been violated, to get some kind of penalty beyond just contempt. And if it's contempt, what does the law say about contempt of a court order?
Well, like she has already said, right? the law dictates the sentence. So, as a lawyer, and many a times even with courts, their hands are tied because they have to follow the law to the core. If the law says a sentence up to 2 years, then a magistrate, you cannot go
But you
beyond.
violated and disrespected the dignity of the court. What does the court do to restore its own dignity?
Well, the court cannot give you or hand down a penalty which is beyond what the law says. That's just the so unfortunate part.
Yeah.
That's
Very true.
Yeah. Let me put it to the superintendent again. Or sub-inspector?
Assistant superintendent.
Assistant superintendent. Sorry, should say the right title. How can legal professionals as lawyers at Lerumo, Mogobe and her firm, and many other lawyers who may be watching this, and educators generally, how can we collaborate with you as members of society, to raise awareness on GBV and its legal implications? How can we conscientize and educate the public?
But I think the awareness that we cry for, or we are looking for from our colleagues, the magistrates and so, if they can ensure that when they sentence somebody, they give them that maximum penalty. That is the awareness that we want from them, so that people may know that should I do this, these people are not they are so serious about those issues. And also, the issue of giving people bail, it gives us headache.
time.
Because they know, after 14 days, after a remand, I'll be released, and I will complete what I've desired to do. The issue of you are not going to bring the case before us until you've completed a case. You can't investigate when the case is with us. It gives us headache because what we're expecting them to do is at least give the perpetrator the conditions that you are not going to do 1, 2, 3, 3 while we're still investigating. But when you say no, just go investigate first, what does it mean?
Have you had particular cases which you can share where that tragic situation occurred without mentioning names?
Like somebody repeating the offense. I think there are various cases. Just a mere assault or a lawful assault occasionally, and then you put him under the bus 14 days. When he comes back, murder.
That has happened.
So we've seen these things before, where we are told, but this case has been reported before the police. This is a case that is known. This person is known. He has been to the police several times, but see what that person has done. Yes, we do have cases like that where somebody is our customer and ended up committing murder.
What happens to that person? Do they kill themselves, or do you end up now having to try them for murder?
Or who? The perpetrators?
Yes.
The perpetrators still violate the constitutional right that that person is proven guilty, is innocent.
To proven guilty.
Can still be given bail again.
Okay, that's one side of the ledger. That's where things went wrong. Can you give us 1 or 2 cases where your intervention resulted in a positive outcome, and again, without sharing names?
When I started this deliberation, I spoke of late reports of cases. When we started in fact, the center was established in 2020. that is some months before the establishment of the branch. We had a case of a young lady who was 21 years old, who reported that when I was 8 years old, my mother's boyfriend raped me. Yes. So one would say, then where are we going to get evidence? You're 21, you might be having a boyfriend. And we investigated the case and saw professionally much that the perpetrator is now serving 10 years imprisonment.
Should have been 30, right?
10 is not enough.
That was before it was. I guess that one is
that's before the amendment.
Yes, that was before the amendment.
We consider him lucky.
Yeah, he's very lucky.
Yeah.
And the other case that I can share is that of a minor child who is 3 years old, and the neighbor raped that child, but not through penetration. We just collected the sperm all around Mwanayu, and because there were some bruises but no
Some
penetration.
people are really messed up.
Yeah,
eh?
so that is the man who was incarcerated 30 years. Yes. So these are good things that we can talk of.
Does it
our-
require a lot of patience for your detectives when investigating such crimes?
It needs patience. It needs patience, because what would one say when somebody comes in when she is 21 years to say 13 years ago I was raped? So obviously one would say, where do you think we are going to get evidence from? So you need to do all that you can.
Well, where does the evidence come from 13 years later? You get them to confess.
I think the case is with the magistrate. I can always go there and get some the judgment. You
Yeah.
see how we worked for that man to be incarcerated. Yes.
And it could take, months and even years
Yes.
to do the investigation?
We've set ourselves some targets. That is to say, if we have taken a long time, it should be not more than 6 months. So with us at our facility, because since we are dealing with minors, we are saying we should prioritize these cases. Our maximum will be 3 months. And then in collaboration with our magistrates to say, can we treat issues of children like you can treat a murder case, so that we register every case involving a child as soon as we receive it, so that we're having bail conditions for the perpetrators, not to come next to the victim.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Kuda, does culture play a role insofar as this whole issue, and to what extent is it do we need cultural intervention, or should I ask the PhD candidate?
Well, I can take it, but before taking it, I think I should add on to what you said. And I think the very same way that the Botswana Police Service have established a gender and child protection branch, we need to have specialized courts, courts which are there specifically to deal with gender or children-related issues. You know, we need magistrates who are conscientized.
Yeah, because when
we need this as a country. This
it's
is
just
important.
the process of a child sharing evidence.
Yes.
Can't do it in the presence of a perpetrator.
Yes.
Are there systems for that? Are there arrangements? Are there special arrangements?
And you see,
just triggered that in my mind. When
yes.
you said
And the very same way that police officers who are trained in the law are trained to handle matters of GBV, gender, child protection. You know, members of the AOJ, those are judges, magistrates, they should also undergo such training so that they can be conscientized and so that they can be better able to relate to the victim. Because, of course, a magistrate or a judge might be there seated doing his job, but in doing his job, he or she is not being sensitive to the victim. That is one of the problems that we have, and that's why I'm calling for specialized courts with specialized magistrates and judges. And then moving on to your question, GBV, domestic violence, I think we can't blame it on culture, because there is no culture that promotes violence. In the African society, we have got a concept, an ideology called Ubuntu. It's everywhere. And by virtue of that concept, which is African in nature, it simply means there is no culture that promotes GBV. None. So it's not a cultural thing. It's not. I think it's more of a mindset, mentality.
But that's where maybe you come in to say, these perpetrators, when you sit down with them and analyze them at the deepest level, where does it come from? What are the factors that lead to this? Is this something that we are concerning ourselves with? And to what extent are we unraveling things at the root cause? I'm interested in the root causes.
Yes. And that's why I had asked earlier to say, does penalty really help, or there is a deeper cause which we have to address?
I'm
so
sure
yes,
you have your thoughts on this one.
she has answers.
I actually beg to differ with Mr. Chihita. Culture is one of the root causes. For example, when you get married, you're told your husband should not be asked where he comes from.
Not anymore.
They still do it, trust me. Even at this day and age, they still do it.
I think society has moved a bit. I've been participated in some of these
But that's-
Bohola. I think I
Yes.
had another one last week, Kotlokwe. That was
The sad part is some people have moved away, but that's like a minute population that have moved away from that. All those basic,
enlightened.
when you live in Gaborone, so you're a hip Malome, you're not Malome from the village.
Okay.
Malome from the village who stays at the village will still say, Monna ha budi kwa tswanteng, monna ke selepe wa adimana. Mosadi ke ngwana mo lapeng.
Malome o ja Ditlhong.
Ehe. Wa di utlwa?
Meaning or Malome can come and mess up.
With
Yes.
the names.
In terms of incest. So those things, they still exist.
Did Kloko extend to that?
That's what Malome Oja Ditlhong means. It means Malome can literally abuse a child and get away with it because incest to some extent is tolerated. That is why I'm sure they have high cases where the Malomes have violated a child and it was not reported until a neighbor felt, no, this is too much because this child maybe has somewhat gone out of the family to say, Kana na rakadi. Malome o dirana but ko lapeng ga ba bone ele phoso kana ba fila gore ga ba ka bua ga go teng. These things, they still exist even today. And then you get to the police station again. Now you will find not all police officers, but you will find some police officers who are still entrenched in that belief. So when you come and say, my husband assaulted me because I asked him why he got home at 4 a.m. in the morning, they will say, so these are the problems that we still have. Until we get out of the patriarchal mindset of a man is supposed to treat his wife like a child, and therefore he has a right to actually punish the child because it is his
I
child.
thought the removal of the what do you call it? The abolishment of what
Marital power.
marital power is taking care of that.
That is just on paper, but reality on the ground, Makola will tell you it still exists on the ground. So some of these things, when we make a bill or when we make an act, it is up to us as the lawmakers to now go out there to kotenyane thing, where we normally say kotenyane thing, even nela in just nearby villages.
So how do you counteract that? I know that there's an effort to say once the case is reported, it cannot be withdrawn.
Yes.
I don't know whether the legislation is there that says that.
Well, the legislation, I would say it's there because the DPP is given the mandate to only authorize withdrawal. So since the DPP himself has made that saving grant, it means he will no longer grant withdrawals in relation to GBV because he does have those powers.
So has that helped to counteract those culturally entrenched.
To a certain extent, it has. But like I'm saying, there needs to be more educational on the ground. Because like I'm saying, the incident I mentioned when we started, it's something that happened a week ago. My client literally reported a case of an ex-boyfriend who had been abusing her for a long time, and whom the police have numerous dockets on him. They know he's been abusing my client for a long time. And then she reports, and then the station commander says, no, we decided to withdraw it and fine him 200 bula because he admits that he did assault you. And then the question is, when did the law change? Because if you report an assault, whether it's GBV or not GBV, unless you, the person inflicted, because it's a personal injury,
Yes.
then it cannot be withdrawn.
Yeah, which is why maybe I should bring the superintendent and ask her whether they take action against such police officers, the ones who are clearly violating the law and taking serious cases lightly. What can a victim do, or the family of the victim do? Are you able to take action against such rogue officers, so to speak?
I think according to the Police Act, it can be a disciplinary offense. That's a pure misconduct and neglect of your duty. Because all powers, like she's saying, are vested upon the DPP to decide.
Yes.
Even if you want to withdraw it with them, they can still insist, no, we are taking this matter before court.
Yes.
We are not going to withdraw it like you are demanding.
But how can
All
they-
what we do as the police officers, even if you have recorded the withdrawal statement, but the DPP has to sanction if it has to be withdrawn or not.
Yes.
Yes.
So are you taking that action without mentioning specific case? Are you taking it up?
Yes, I'm going to take it up. I'm going to take it up because my client has been a victim of this person for so many years. And the police know this. And if she's put in a situation where she knows now she has no help from the people who are supposed to help her, where is she going to go? Because it means even if she's in another place, she will assume because the police in that area
I like that.
did this, even the next police officers will do this, and she won't ask for help. So I'm definitely going to take it further.
Yeah. One of the complaints we've received is that, or we've come across, is that once these cases are reported with the police never proactively update the victims on what's happening, the status of the case, whether there's a mention pending or whatever. The victim sometimes will come to inquire, and so what systems are in place for updating the other interested parties, or shall I say stakeholders, throughout the process?
We are having, the Botswana Police Service, we are having the service standards. That is demanding you or compelling you to give your customer feedback at least after 2 weeks. You should be updating your client that this is how far the case is, until it's taken to the DPP to say, now it's with the DPP, who are now going to be responsible for that person's feedback. Yes.
Okay. And is that effective?
It is, I somebody who is not doing exactly that until the customer calling to say, I've reported this case a month or 2 months ago. I haven't been updated about it. Those are rare cases now. Expectation now is fortnightly you are supposed to give your feedback, your customer feedback.
Okay. But there's also something that's generally been said about the country out there when you do a little bit of research, that we are the rape capital of the world. Some are saying rape capital of Africa or the world. And I always think those are gross exaggerations, but it keeps coming up again and again, especially when they do these surveys and we're being told we are the unhappiest society, one among the 3 unhappiest societies in the world as well. And I always wonder about these surveys because nobody ever asked me over the years. But what is the situation on the ground? And this question is open to all the panelists.
That can be the truth, nothing else. That we are the most leading country, because when you take the statistics, most of the time you find rape being the most highest crime in our records. Time and again we are having rape, defilement being the highest over all other offenses. So it could be true.
What has happened to us? What has become of us? Please feel free to jump in.
I think one thing I will add, which I forgot to add when Mama Kola mentioned, is in reference to bail, we really need to take a step to amend the law on bail, because it's like literally we have cancelled exceptions to bail, which almost in every country there are exceptions to bail. Yes, the accused has a right, but there should be exceptions. We cannot have somebody...
Exception is the flight risk.
No. Exceptions in somebody who can be granted bail.
Oh, I see.
Yes,
Okay.
because, for example, just next door in South Africa, if you're now coming as an accused person who has numerous charges on, rape or hijacking or whatsoever, you're not going to be granted bail, because clearly you are someone who cannot be trusted to be on the outside. Because whenever you hijack, you kill a victim. Whenever you rape, you maim your victim. But in Botswana, it doesn't matter how many charges under your belt you have. There are literally no exceptions. It's as if now we have just focused on the aspect that the right also is entitled to their liberty and the presumption of innocence. That's the only considerations that are taken into consideration. So that really needs to change, because someone can be granted bail for murder. They go and murder again, they're arrested, and then they go again and murder someone else. That has actually happened. Someone killed his girlfriend, and then he spent that 14 days, like she mentioned. And then when he got out, he said his other girlfriend was cheating on him. Yet he had killed another girlfriend. So he's cheating on people, but he's saying, I'm killing you because I feel you've done 1, 2, 3, but now you're cheating on me.
So you're talking about a psychopath, aren't you?
Exactly, because we do have those.
Or
that's why it's like,
yes, psychopath, whatever.
So let's have exceptions on bail. The lawmakers, please bring back the exceptions. They used to be there. Let's not focus on the presumption of innocence and the liberty of the accused when there are other considerations. The victim, the preponderance to commit acts. We cannot have somebody who has 3 robberies under his belt or 10, and then we say he's still entitled to their liberty, because we know he'll do it again.
Yeah.
And then coming to
the shocking statistics on
the
of the country.
Yes, the statistics. I think on that one, I don't think I'd say the world, maybe I would say Africa. Well, so far, like when I was looking at the stats.
How can we be the most peaceful when we are the most GBV?
The unfortunate,
the most violent when it comes to...
Yes, the unfortunate part is what other experts have said, or the psychologists, is that Botswana men have a rape culture. A rape culture means you see someone wearing a mini skirt, you're saying, no, she should not be walking around looking like that. So she is inviting someone to violate her. Then, again, you meet someone at the bar, you buy drinks for them, then you are entitled to sleep with them because you bought them drinks. You give someone a lift, you are entitled to sleep with them because you gave them a lift. So that is rape culture. And that's what the experts say, because there used to be a program called Batho Pele on BTV. it discussed that at length, that Botswana men have a rape culture. So as peaceful as they are, or as we are in general as women and men, but when it comes to our men, they have a rape culture. That is why they will justify someone killing their girlfriend. They will forget that even that man, he used to not work. And the wife supported him, badira ditendara, rekela diaparo, rekela yeng, but she never demanded the money she spent on him. And
so awful, man.
that is where the problem is. So if we could get that mindset, Yahore, I bought someone drinks, therefore they have to sleep with me. I gave them a lift. They were wearing a short skirt.
I don't know where that came from.
It's
Yes.
a crazy way of thinking,
Yes.
but it happens.
Because I asked one question. So for people who rape the elderly, who are 80, who always wear a blanket over already what they're wearing, where was she inviting violation?
The rape,
And then someone who rapes a 3-year-old, what do you see in a 3-year-old child? They don't have hips.
That's
they
why
have
earlier I
nothing.
wanted to touch on psychological causes.
Yeah.
But the panel here maybe is not the right one to dig into those.
Yes.
But I just wonder whether there's a deeper psychosis that needs to be analyzed.
Definitely, I think so. Because if you rape a 3-year-old and you're still insisting rape happens because somebody invites it, what about the elderly? What about the children, the infants? Literally, a 2-year-old has nothing that I think someone should be attracted to.
And how do you rape your biological daughter?
Thank you. Your own flesh and blood. Because we used to think these things only happen with step parents, but nowadays they are so rampant.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think just to add on, as we were having this discussion, I thought there is the need for people to go through psychological evaluations before they can be given bail.
Yes.
Because the court system, judges will look at the law and be blindsided to the fact that this person is a psychopath.
Yes.
And if released on bail, he'll commit the same crime again. So people need to go
Yes.
through psychological evaluations. Are they ready to go back into the society? Are they remorseful? Are they repentant? Unfortunately, these are questions that courts do not ask. That's
Yeah.
why I think
Yes,
it's important
very
that
true.
before bail can be granted, there be a report from a psychologist who says this person is in the right mind state to be given bail, or this person seems like a habitual criminal, or seems like a psychopath and should not be granted bail. We need that.
Yeah.
Yes, very
You,
true.
you talked about this culture where you're saying people brought it upon themselves. At a legal level, are there circumstances where the perpetrator has valid defenses, where the perpetrator, apart from the marital rape situation, where they have been somehow lured into a false sense of security about somebody and entrapped? I've heard of the crime in America of entrapment, where somebody has, and we've also heard of things like honeycomb crimes, where you have espionage being used, women being used to lure a woman to a man into a particular situation. So I thought, in the interest of fairness, we should flip the coin and look at some of these possible defenses and see whether they feel free to jump in, Lena Superintendent. Where but for instance.
Especially ladies, ne?
Yes.
When it comes to rape. Like I said earlier on, that last year in September, there was that law that says
Yes.
if there is anyone who reports a rape case
Which is
False.
falsely or having consented to it, and because Hawamuduela now turns around to say, I have been raped, or because I want the pregnancy or whatsoever to be terminated, I'll terminate rape, that person has to be charged for that. There is a law that says
Yes.
What's it called? Which act is that?
the same penal code. It was amended last year to include that clause, that when you report a false rape, you are supposed to be charged for that.
And how widespread a problem is that?
It is there. It is there, especially this ladies who goes around, sleep around. Even though this rape issue it happens in a private place, and when somebody says I didn't consent, how are you going to say no? You consented. It's one against one. But then we need to go dig it to see if really. I mean, we will rely on circumstantial evidence.
The thing of consenting and then revoking the consent.
Hey,
You consented earlier, but then you revoked it.
How do you do that to a man who has already believed that we are all in this thing?
But you have to consent all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you consent prior to the commencement of the act, that is not consent.
And that is why we rely on circumstantial evidence, like what we look consent there would 1, 2, 3 things. And I think Hoiprova is not going to be easy, but the technology nowadays, it helps us investigate these things.
What kind of technology?
You send each other some messages to say this and this, and because you didn't
WhatsApp
pay me,
chats.
because you didn't pay me now, I'm going to report you.
Okay.
No, I think
cyberspace.
I think a very good example, right, of what she's saying is an instance whereby two people have intercourse, and then after the act, both are commenting, no, we had a good time, this was great, we should do it again. Then 3 months down the line, because maybe there's been a heartbreak, then one will go to the police and say, Mikana, I was violated, I was raped. So maybe, like she's saying, because of technology, the chats can be shown and it will be seen. But the lady was saying she had a great time. So what are young you were?
And what punishment exists for this false claim of rape? What does the law say about such?
I'm caught off guard with punishments. I can read this offense.
But is it viewed as serious as
a caring term, and again, you will not know the punishments until you're having some cases.
Because I wanted to know whether it's viewed as seriously. Do you have to do something as a magistrate on that?
This law was recently amended, the one relating to false reporting, because the police had noticed a number of cases coming by where 10 months down the line, now the evidence comes up that no, this person was not raped. Because my perception has always been if you are raped, all the money in the world would not be sufficient as compensation for what you have gone through. And where you see someone accepting money and they're saying they've been raped, then rape never occurred. And it's something that is good.
Or even entering into negotiations.
Yes, the minute
over
you're
an
willing,
amount. Or no, make it instead of 50, make it 100,000.
the minute you're willing to say I'm accepting money, it means you were not raped. And these cases are the ones who actually made it difficult for real victims to get justice. Because when you get to the police station, they say, yo, you see what I mean? Because now they already have this perception that there are ladies who do that, and they take every victim as one of those ladies. But it's also very important to note what you said before. You can give consent and withdraw it. That is very important. We should not mistake the fact that, yes, whether you're already inside, I can say, no, I'm not in the mood anymore. It doesn't matter whether you've penetrated or not. The minute I say
that
no,
makes it so hard now for the men.
but I think that
So
is
I
what
consented to half of the rape.
Yes. No. I think
Effectively, or half of the intercourse.
This is where the sad part comes from, because if our men are not willing to understand the dynamics of today, because when they cross the border and go overseas, they say, even if you're at the tip and somebody says no, immediately there, you should just come out. Don't even hesitate for 2 seconds. The 2 seconds you stay there, that's rape.
That's right.
So we need to learn. Yes, we know men are wired to love sex and so forth, but they should know there's a difference. Sex should be enjoyed by both parties. If someone say, no, it's too painful, now stop. It's painful for them. You're enjoying it, but they're not.
Yeah.
So stop. When you continue, you're raping that person. And now the sad part of events will be in your head, she consented and then she stopped midway. She has a right to stop midway.
Yeah, because this brings to my mind a scenario where at a nightclub somebody would consent when they are drunk. And then maybe when they get home, whatever, they have 2 glasses of water and then they wake up from them and then they revoke the consent.
Yes. But
How is
yes.
that? How does the law treat that?
that one is different because you consented all the way. During that period, there was consent.
No, but you hadn't started the act.
You mean you didn't do the act at the club?
No.
Oh, I thought you meant you consent at the club and you have sex at the club.
Yeah, you go all the way with the person and then
Go to the
by
house.
the time you get to the house, you had a couple of waters and then suddenly you remember what you were taught at Sunday school or Sabbath school, whatever.
Then the same, then the same thing still applies. Consent should be throughout the whole sexual intercourse, not midway, not at the beginning only, the whole way. If I'm saying yes, right there, continue, please, that means we are together. But if I'm saying no, stop. No means no. There is no other word that means no except no. That is what we need to understand. Otherwise, all the male folk will end up in prison because they thought she consented when we were going there, so she can't change her mind. She has a right to change her mind.
We have too much fatherlessness already.
Yes.
Without this problem.
Yes.
So as we come to the conclusion of our conversation, Superintendent, what are the key takeaways or messages that you want to leave the people with on this issue, and what is the attitude of you as a police service on this issue? Give us a few nuggets of wisdom on that.
I'll talk of the gaps that are there, that we see every now and then when it comes to reporting these cases. Few of the people used to report, but since we've developed or we're having this new facility or the branch, a good number of them are reporting, but still there are people who are not reporting. But until or unless you report this case of rape or defilement, you never have closure of this matter. So I'm simply saying to the people that they should not shy away from reporting these cases. The other thing is, like already alluded, we're not going to condone anyone to withdraw a case that has been reported to us. People should report those issues when they are still fresh.
Yes.
To help us have proper investigation. People should be in a position to know that we are there to protect them against re-victimization, against their perpetrators. Because some people shy away from reporting because if I report, my uncle is going to chase me away from the house. If I report, my mother is going to separate with my father. All these things. So it is all about their lives for us to protect. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that summary. Where can people reach you, and where can they contact you if they need further conversations on this? And what connections are there on social media, if any?
The toll-free number for GBV is 0800-600-144. 0800-600-144. Our common 999. And I don't know if I'm supposed to give the child-friendly center for our
Please.
facility in Gaborone.
Please.
The 362-4106.
362.
362-4106. We are always there to assist. Yes.
Is there someone ready to answer 24/7?
If it happens, because of manpower, we are having 2 shifts, 6 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock. We don't have 10 to 6. When it's 10 to 6 issue, those in police stations will call me as the officer in charge that there is a report here, and I will ensure that those who are on duty attends to it.
Okay, so you're able to intervene on an emergency basis?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What about on social media? We live in the time of social media.
Botswana Police Service has a page, Facebook page.
Is it active? Is it
Very
interactive?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So you just say BPS.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can report it as an anonymous person.
How do you do
We
that?
know how to follow the anonymous. You track the anonymous. And
Tell me how that works.
Some of those anonymous people, they report issues that do not involve them. When you see a child being raped or being abused by the neighbor, you report anonymously. So Rona will have to engage our cyber team. Babaka Pikangore, who reported this thing, so that you can help. If that person didn't disclose where you can get the victim from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
To the point of maybe even getting an order from a magistrate to go and. Okay. All right. That's very interesting. Now, Mr. Kuda, what are your last words? What messages do you have for our viewers relating to this topic?
Can I just say one word?
Yes.
Mr. Mop? I think it's important for Makola to note, if you've reported, they're not going to disclose you.
Yes.
Yes.
Because otherwise the anonymous people now are going to start being afraid that they can be tracked and not report. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think...
You are right. You are right.
Yes.
Because when you go
You
through
protect the privacy.
the
Yes.
Children's Act, it says even if the report that was reported anonymously, it is not what is in place. It's something that is not happening. That person is not responsible for making that report. And we are also expected to protect those people from harassment. One can
Yes.
guess this
You
person
call them
could,
whistleblowers.
Yes.
this could be the person who reported.
Reported.
So we are
Yes.
supposed to be seen protecting that person.
Yes.
And there is a penalty
Unless they
for
have
that.
malicious intent, right?
Sorry?
Unless they have malicious
Yes,
intent.
yes. Unless the report is malicious.
Okay. Mr. Kuda?
Yes. My final words to the viewers is, number one, let us respect the law. Let us all respect, uphold, and protect the law. Let us be compliant. And then number two, GBV is a concern, a global concern. And as men, this is a call out to all men. Let us desist from being perpetrators of GBV. And then number three, citizens, residents out there, please do not hesitate to get into contact with the Botswana Police Service. They are there to assist you. They are there to help you, basically. That is why they are there. That is all from me. And if you want...
Before you tell us your contacts,
Yes.
what can your law firm do specifically to help victims?
All right.
Or you help both victims and perpetrators?
Yes, we do help both, but then let me start with victims. If you're a victim, we can help you with get court orders, restraining orders. We can help you to sue the perpetrators. Supposing maybe in the course of the GBV you got a broken leg, broken arm, we can help you sue for medical expenses, medical bills. Supposing you went through psychological pain and suffering, we can help you sue for all that as a firm. And supposing a child is in need of help and you're a parent and non-custodian parent, we can help you seek custody for your child whom you think is being abused by the parent who has custody. So these are some of the services that we offer as a firm.
Okay.
Yes, and then we can be found on the second floor of Mogobe Plaza in the CBD. We are Lerumo Mogobe Legal Practitioners. Our number is 397-4002. We are available on all social networks as Lerumo Mogobe Legal Practitioners. Thank you, Mr. Mogobe.
Okay, you're welcome. Madam.
Yes. What I want to say is, let's bridge the gaps that exist. The police have come up with ideas. The DPP has come up with ideas as well, but we need the lawmakers to back up those ideas. Let's create laws that will protect GBV victims so that they are not left out there with the perpetrators getting away with crimes. Also, let's give more education, because the police have great programs and they have opened up a unit, but more education needs to go out there, go with in other police stations to ensure that all police officers conform to what the police are trying to do, so that victims feel free to come forward and say, I need help, instead of thinking, I will not be helped by the police, because those are the only people that can actually help the victim. Members of the public, let's not stand idle and let someone be killed in front of us. Let's help. Let's show that we do not agree with GBV, because recently we had someone being killed right in front of so many people who could have helped. That is not okay, because when we do that,
In a busy mall or something.
in a school, because when we do that,
In front
we're
of teachers.
students and teachers and even members of the public who were on their way to work.
And they didn't take pictures or anything.
People take pictures, but they don't help. We don't need pictures. Yes, we need them for evidence, but don't just sit there, take a video, take pictures, and not help the victim, because you're telling perpetrators it's okay to kill someone. It's okay.
The best help
to
is
abuse
what?
someone.
To have, because people think they'll be beaten up or something.
Certainly, if there are 100 people and one person, you cannot tell me one person can overcome 100 people. He's using a knife, grab a stone, grab something to restrain him, because you need to restrain him. Makola is here. She's not going to tell me if somebody hit a perpetrator who was trying to kill someone with a stone, they're going to charge that person, because they were literally, that now forms part of self-defense, because they were helping that person to defend themselves. They were not just going out there to kill someone for no reason. We need help like that. So let's work together. Let's also support our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, the families. We need to give constant support to that victim, because if they also don't have familial support at home, it's also very difficult for them to get out. They need to know someone is there to be able to assist me if I leave this situation, because most of the time they're afraid that they don't have support. So please, let's do that, and maybe we can finally curb the scourge we have of GBV.
All right, well spoken. Your contacts?
We are based at Red Cross, Ditlhong and Associates. Our numbers are 392-6260 or 7538-1073. And I would like to also say thank you. My nieces would kill me because they watched the podcast in the last sitting. They said I should appreciate them. So I appreciate you, Yossi, Sebaha, Atang, Buene, Rami, and also my daughter, Ayla. Thank you for watching and following Mr. Mogobe on the podcast, because you're learning a lot. Have a good day.
It remains for me to thank you from the bottom of my heart, all my panelists, all my guests for coming. It's always very, very, invigorating to have an opportunity to share and exchange ideas. It's just unfortunate that this is a very heavy and sad subject. But like Mr. Kuda was saying, please, men, since you tend to be most of the time the perpetrators, restrain yourselves. And women, please, since you happen to be so-called the provocateurs, at least it is claimed. Try and restrain yourself, and please let us put an end. Let us fight instead of being labeled the country that is most the murder capital or the violence capital of the world. Let us not be associated with any of this. Let us be associated with the peace that we were known for, the peace that we were known for certainly at the time of Reseretse, Khama Lerem, Kwetmasire. We are not this. This is not us, guys. So please, let's do something about GBV by avoiding it. And if we need psychological counseling, there are plenty of counselors out there. These days, you don't even have to pay. As we've explained in the previous programs, there are government offices where you can get free counseling and address the psychological pressures that may be leading you the direction that you are going. So do something about this. Lastly and finally, the book is there, Momp Nuggets of Grit, only $350, guys. Please support us and go get it out there, both from Exclusive Books and from here at Mogobe Plaza, 2nd floor. Number 1. Number 2, strike that subscribe button, please. Don't forget the notification bell, and also give us a like. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you very much. Until next time, Mogobe signing off. Bye-bye. Say bye-bye to the viewers.